There are 7 cringeworthy mistakes that writers, particularly female writers, make when writing male characters, and readers everywhere are sick and tired of seeing these cliches. In this video, I'm going to reveal what those 7 mistakes are and how to fix them so that you can make your male characters more multi-layered, dynamic, and realistic. So if you're ready to level up your male characters in your story, keep watching. This video may just save your book from being roasted by 1-star reviews. Welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Abby and I help writers make their stories matter and make their author dreams come true. And if that's something you're on a mission to do, you're going to want to subscribe to this channel. I post writing videos every Wednesday and I would love to have you here in the community. Mistake number 1, over-describing his physical appearance. I know we all like to make fun of male writers for doing this to female characters, but that door swings both ways. I know you want your male character's hot physical appearance to take center stage here, and I know you want all your female readers to swoon over how messy and dark his hair is, and how piercing his soulless blue eyes are, and how he has shredded six-pack abs even though he doesn't work out a day in his life. But try to restrain yourself here. These descriptions can sometimes be overkill. Just like with female characters, it can feel rather objectifying to reduce a human being to just the sum of their body parts and to zoom into these attractive aspects of your character without really tying them to who they are as a person. And also making your characters just unrealistically fit when they do not have a lifestyle that makes them fit. Or as this male reader said on a Reddit thread about how women write men badly, their male characters just happen to be muscular and have abs, seemingly without ever doing any exercise. I feel like many female authors don't realize how big a part of your life that gym and fitness have to be for men to look like a fitness model. Mistake number 2, making him too emotionally intelligent and introspective. This is one of the biggest glaring signs, in my opinion, that reveal a man was written by a woman. When he zones out of reality completely and goes on long-winded, overly descriptive, and sometimes poetic, introspective inner monologues about relationships, conflicts, and honestly anything that he happens to be looking at. It's not that male characters don't think about these things, of course they do, but they don't go on and on and on in their own heads, turning every thought process into a Shakespearean sonnet about the meaning of life and how their love interest's eyes remind them of the Caribbean Sea on a July afternoon. Sure, you can make him a little nervous or lovesick or analytical about something, but just remember that men are less likely to ponder these things deeply in colorful, poetic, flowery language. Or as this guy said, I can usually tell right away if a woman wrote a male character when his inner monologue and thoughts are too analytical. I feel like many women, not all of course, think about a particular situation from many different angles. Meanwhile, men will be quick and concise about it. Mistake number 3, which is one of my personal pet peeves, he's constantly smirking, flirting, and acting seductive. What is up with the epidemic of smirking in today's world, in fiction? Am I the only one who's noticed that every hot guy suddenly has a permanent smirk on his face, twitching his lips, quirking his mouth, flashing his dimples? It's like these men have no other face expression. And I get that smirking can be cute and flirty. I write it too sometimes, but not in excess. Okay, I literally cannot remember the last time I saw a guy smirking in real life as his resting face. Or as a male reader stated in this Reddit thread, we're not always smirking. We're much more likely to have just a dumb blank look on our face. I think this comes down to female writers trying to make their love interest guy sound seductive all the time. He's always smirking, winking, checking out his female love interest, and being protective and borderline predatory toward her because this has been seen as attractive. And I realized that saying he slouched against the wall with a dumb blank look on his face is not necessarily painting the attractive image that you're going for. But a male character doesn't need to act overtly seductive all the time in order to be seductive. Small acts of kindness, feather-light touches, gift-giving, acts of service, sticking up for the girl that he loves when somebody belittles her or tries to take advantage of her. These are all subtle, covert ways that a male character can be very attractive and seductive without having to smirk at the girl 24/7. Before we get into mistake number 5, I want to quickly interrupt myself here to tell you guys about a special live training that I'm doing on this topic, the topic of writing the opposite gender, how to write realistic men and women without falling into cringy stereotypes. In this live training, we'll break down the biggest mistakes writers make, the key psychological and behavioral differences between male and female characters, and master practical techniques that will help you make your characters more realistic, dynamic, and relatable. And make all their voices sound distinct and unique so that your readers won't even need a chapter heading to tell them that this is a male character's point of view or a female character's point of view. In this training, you will learn the 2 biggest mistakes writers make when writing the opposite gender and how to avoid these cliche stereotypes, how male and female characters think, speak, and act differently, how to create compelling multi-dimensional characters without falling into alpha male or boss lady tropes, how to develop a unique voice for every character and avoid the trap of making all your characters sound the same, and my simple hack to instantly improve character voice, which is a writing exercise to ensure your characters have distinct, recognizable voices. By the end of this training, you are going to be able to write the opposite gender's point of view effortlessly, and it's going to actually be fun to do so. So click the link below this video to save your spot at the live training. It is happening Sunday, April 6th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you can't make it to the live stream, don't worry, you will still have access to watch the replay as many times as you want. And when you register for this event, you also unlock my entire live training archive vault. That's over 35 hours of in-depth teaching on topics like writing, editing, publishing, and so much more. I hope to see you over there. I think you'll love it, and I can't wait to see you at the live training on April 6th. Save your spot below. All right, back to the male character mistakes. Mistake number 4, he has the same emotional responses as a woman. In other words, he breaks down crying a lot. He hugs all his guy friends and tells them, "I love you." He turns the other cheek when someone wrongs him, or he has huge emotional breakdowns over really small conflicts. Most men in real life don't behave like this, so it feels really awkward and strange when they do in fiction. To cite our Reddit thread again, the fount of all male wisdom here, women struggle to relate to certain parts of the male experience. For example, there's an overwhelming but nuanced fear of showing weakness. Grieving a major loss, you can't do it openly. It's even hard to do it privately. Your best friend kisses your girlfriend, you have to fight him. Doesn't matter if you're a pacifist, doesn't matter if you're going to lose. That nuanced fear of showing weakness should pervade all your male characters' emotional responses. Of course, no 2 people are alike, so you have to take your character's personality into account here. You might have a hot-tempered guy who does lose his temper at the drop of a hat and gets into fights a lot and reacts with anger towards conflict, or you might have a super detached, cold, analytical man who does feel really deeply on the inside, but he never shows emotion. It all depends on the character, but that fear of showing weakness should be at the heart of your character, which means they're not going to react to every situation the way a woman would, because women tend to not have that fear of showing weakness as much as men do. I used to make this mistake a lot when I was new to writing. When I was younger and I just started writing characters, like especially male points of view, I would really struggle with this. I'd make my male characters get weepy over things that only women get weepy over, or get nervous and squeamish about things that a guy would never be squeamish over. I broke these bad habits over time by really getting to know my male characters' personalities and by really leaning into their defensive masculine coping mechanisms. And that's not to say that every guy's coping mechanism is the same, because it won't be. For some of my male characters, it is humor, to make light of a situation that's going wrong and to tell jokes at probably the worst time. For other male characters, it's protecting themselves with knowledge, or leveraging blackmail, or becoming a chameleon to charm his way out of a tricky situation. So if you're a woman writing a man, don't let him have the same emotional response that you would have in that situation. Give him his own emotional response based on his personality and his coping mechanism. And on the flip side of that, we have mistake number 5, which is never letting him be vulnerable, always being the tough guy. While you can't let your male characters fall to pieces when something goes wrong, you also can't let them never show emotion or vulnerability and always have to be the tough guy. Or as this male reader noted on Reddit, he's always the rescuer, never vulnerable. He's always swearing that he'll never fall in love because his parents divorced, his ex cheated, or some such nonsense. You want to find moments where your male characters can show vulnerability under the right circumstances. Keeping in mind that their knee-jerk gut instinct is to not show weakness, what is going to have to happen? What emotional walls are going to have to be broken down in order to get them to a place where they can be vulnerable with another character? Maybe it's a drunk confession, or maybe they're brought to a moment of despair and something in them just cracks and gives way and they can't hide their feelings any longer.
You claim love? Yes! Yes! I love her! I love her with every breath I breathe!
Or maybe someone who knows them better than they know themselves calls them out on their greatest weakness or vice, and their defensive denial and their reaction to it proves how guilty they are.
You have no more right to lead than Miraz does. You, him, your father. None is better off than a lot of you.
There are so many different ways to get a character to open up and show vulnerability, and you need to find your own unique way to do this with your male character. Don't just let him open up and be super vulnerable all the time, because that also is not going to come across feeling very realistic. But don't feel like you have to make him always guarded, defensive, and the tough guy who can never show emotion or vulnerability. Mistake number 6, he has overly descriptive observations about everything. I can always tell a guy is written by a woman when he goes into these overly long descriptions of what he's looking at, usually the love interest and her physical appearance. This can work sometimes if you have a super introspective and analytical guy, if that's his personality, but in most cases he won't hit pause on what's currently happening to go into his head and like think all these thoughts. Maybe lying awake in bed at night and he's thinking about his love interest, sure, that might be possible, but probably not going to just hit the brakes on reality to go into like a 2-page soliloquy about how her eyes remind him of the ocean and the sky and cornflowers and Windex and anything else that happens to be blue.
A blue he could swim into forever and never miss. Cut this.
And pick up with?
A blue beyond blue. No. Her eyes were blue.
Better.
And finally, mistake number 7, making every group of guys interaction emotional and heartfelt. This guy on Reddit said it best. You can usually tell how close men are by how mean to each other they are face to face versus how well they speak about the person when they're not around. Guy groups don't behave like girl groups. Let me say it again. Guy groups do not behave like girl groups. You can usually tell a woman wrote a scene with a group of guys when they're all incredibly kind, decent, philosophical, and respectful to each other. This is how women behave in a group, okay? We are like a flock of sheep. We are a effervescent cloud of compliments and nurturing energy. We like to make each other feel good and feel supported and feel like we're all one family. Guys, on the other hand, are less like a flock of sheep and more like a pack of wolves. There's still that collective and that sense of friendly energy and playfulness, but there's a lot more sparring and individuality and offensive jokes and competitive energy.
I don't like you because you're dangerous.
That's right. Nice, man. I am dangerous.
It's casual, it's lighthearted, it's sometimes obnoxious, but they're not going to be talking about deep things like relationships and emotions and vulnerabilities either. Or as this male reader said of female writers, they write it so seriously. Even when we fight, it's not going to be that serious because the other people in the group are going to think it's the best entertainment ever. Hard to stay upset in that kind of setting. So there you have it, the 7 glaring signs that a man was probably written by a woman and how to fix these mistakes. If you want to take your male characters to the next level and write the opposite gender effortlessly, then you don't want to miss my upcoming live training. Again, it's happening April 6th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can click the link below right now to save your spot. And if you're worried that maybe you're writing female characters poorly, or you are a male writer and you're concerned that your female characters lack that sense of realism, you definitely want to check out this video that I recently did on mistakes that writers make with female characters. Smash that like button if you liked this video, make sure you're subscribed to this channel, and comment below and tell me what are some mistakes you see writers make with male characters and how would you fix them. Until next week, my friend, rock on.